Hi, welcome to my home for another Cooking with Alice, a Northern Solano Democratic Club fundraiser. We hosted our first virtual fundraiser on June 26 in 2020. In the midst of COVID, in that long, dark period of isolation, and when staying alive was a consequence of the election looming, Cooking with Alice began. Today, our mission remains the same: to raise money to get Solano Democrats to the polls to vote. That has not changed. Thankfully, Cooking with Alice has evolved while emerging from COVID brings us here in this space tonight with sponsors and ticket holders who won the opportunity to join us in person. So thanks everybody for supporting our 6th Cooking with Alice show, created to raise funds to support local Solano Democrats, candidates, as well as those already elected. Our special guest tonight is Congressman Mike Thompson, who now represents us in Congressional District 4, which includes all the parts of Solano, that's us, Napa, Sonoma, and Yolo counties.
And Lake County.
Oh, and Lake County, okay. While it is our clear objective to elect more Democrats to hold seats on local councils, school boards, supervisors, community college, and other service boards, it is also important that we are confident that our voices are heard in state and national offices as well. Congressman Thompson is a member of the powerful House Committee on Ways and Means. He's an Army combat veteran and a Purple Heart recipient. I learned that at the YOLO thing. And he's married to Jan Thompson, a nurse practitioner. Welcome to my kitchen, Congressman Thompson. We're looking forward to learning about your vision for California, particularly Solano County, as well as experiencing your culinary skills as we try to prepare a New Orleans style meal. So welcome.
Well, thank you very much.
And because of the electoral district boundary changes, you are now representing us in Congress. Why don't you tell us a few things that we probably don't know about you? For instance, I read that you are a vineyard and that you are the co-founder and the chair of the Congressional Wine Caucus. I really want to know what the Wine Caucus does.
I'd be happy to tell you. And viewers and our guests tonight ought to know that that's W-I-N-E. There's no H in this caucus. It's that kind of wine.
Okay.
When I was first elected to Congress in 1998, new member, trying to get my feet, learn my way around. I teamed up with a guy named George Radanovich, who was a Republican from Mariposa, California, who owned a winery. And as you point out, I grow grapes. And I asked George, I said, we should start a wine caucus. You know, where our district's big in vineyards, big in wine, and this would be a great opportunity to be able to get the word from Congress down to our constituents and the word from our constituents up to Congress. So we did it, and it's been remarkably successful. We've been able to use that coalition to work on things like pests that invade the vineyards, tax issues that are important to the major business in California. It's about $170 billion in economic activity that comes out of California's wine country. So it's important, employs a lot of people, pays a lot of taxes. And as you know, if land's in farming, it's not going to be paved over. And that's pretty important for the environment. There you go.
That's pretty interesting. Okay, so before we get into politics even deeper, we're going to start preparing our dishes. Tonight, we're making that classic New Orleans muffaletta sandwich and a yummy Big Easy peach crumble. Now, first things first, because I forgot something. Preheat your oven to 375 and don't forget your pan. I forgot to add that to the recipe, so just remember you're going to need the pan. All right, so let's get started on this crumble. We're gonna start with the making the filling. All right,
What's up?
watch your wine.
I subscribe to Julia Child's direction. She said, I always cook with wine and sometimes I put it in what I'm cooking.
I really need to get with that because I don't drink wine and maybe it would help my cooking a little bit more. Who knows? Anyway, here are the peaches. Here are the peaches and I have to say though, we're gonna start with the dessert. But not the way my granddaughter said it, because when my granddaughter was little, she's in her last year of law school at Lewis and Clark. But when she was just a little tyke, her mother didn't want her to have sugar. But one day she had this at a Seder, because part of my family is Jewish. At a Seder, she had her first piece of cake, right? And if you could see when she got that cake, it was just like all over her face. So when she would come to visit me, she decided that she didn't get enough sugar at home. She says, Granny, can we have dessert first? I promise to eat all my food. So we're not making it so you can eat it first. We're just making it so we can cook it first and you can eat it last. But when I decided to do the dessert first, it made me think about my cute little Alyssa. And now that she's a big girl. Peaches. Now we know peaches are in season right now. And this crumble I come up with, in summertime, we like our desserts kind of cool. So we put some vanilla ice cream with this and you got it going on. Now, I grew up in the South, so we didn't make crumbles. We made peach cobblers. That's what we made, and that's a comfort food. But the dish we're gonna make tonight is sort of a quicker version of that. But it's also my way, I had this thing. I've gotten older and I live in California and we watch the calories a little bit more here than we did there. So I have this way of slimming down my Southern comfort foods just a little bit. Not so much that I forget what they taste like when I used to do them before, but instead of a crumble, instead of a biscuit batter, we have crumble.
So you're telling me that this is not gonna affect my waistline? You've got all the major food groups here, sugar, butter.
What I'm telling you is that the crumble is not necessarily fat-free or calorie reduced. It's just a little less fat.
I put on 3 pounds just looking at this.
Just a bit, but I tell myself that anyway, okay? So just don't judge me on that.
Okay, all right.
Okay. All right, so
I'll roll with it.
good, roll with that one. All right, so first the peaches, the peel and not the peel. The good news is that it's totally up to you. Leaving the peaches, if you leave the peel on the peaches, it keeps it in place a little bit. It holds it together better. And plus it makes it easier to skip the part, which is the reason why I do it. You don't have to peel, right? This is the way you do this here.
Probably
And
a fiber thing too.
and what they didn't say that. But that's probably, I mean, you're the wine connoisseur, you might know that.
If we're talking about doing healthy eating and stuff.
There we go, the
factor in
peaches
the
are.
fiber.
And like I said, you're the wine connoisseur and you have this wine commission here that's figured all these things about fruit. So you might have that might be something, you might be onto something there. Now, of course, we're using the fresh peaches because
They're fresh.
that's right, and because we don't have to peel them.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, and while it's kind of hard to beat the taste of fresh peaches, it's okay to use frozen peaches or canned peaches. I mean, some of you may be even lazier than I am. You have that option. But just be sure that you drain the peaches and that you thaw the frozen peaches and then drain. Good. Now I have another lazy cook tip for you too.
Same thing with the turkey at Thanksgiving. Thaw it first.
Thaw it first,
Right, okay.
yes.
Yeah.
Child taught you well. Okay, another one of my lazy cook tips, if you want to keep that sweet tart flavor of the fresh peaches, is add just a little more of the lemon juice and sugar if you use canned or frozen peaches. So here we go. Peaches. We're gonna use this bowl.
Okay,
Okay, so you have granulated sugar.
okay. What are we
Just
doing with it?
dump it in that bowl.
Put it in?
Just put it in there. Look, looks like a chef, doesn't it? All right. Lemon juice.
Any particular type of lemon?
I just go to the store and buy the one that's I can sort of.
So you know it's right.
That's
Yeah.
right. And the way I do it is if it's too hard, then I've got to use a real hard knife to get it, I leave it there.
Yeah.
If I can move it a little, if it's too soft, I leave it there. So it's gotta be just right.
Can I use that spoon to stir this up?
Mix it all first. Yes. All your way around the kitchen. Okay, vanilla extract. Here we go, right here. Now I mixed the cinnamon and the salt together. You know why I did that?
Tell me.
Because I didn't have any more little bowls.
That's a culinary secret that most people don't know about.
Right. All right, so you're just gonna mix that all together. All right, now before we put this in the mixing dish here, remember I told you about the pan, right? Now, I use pan because I don't like food sticking. It's another thing you do when you got kind of lazy. You know how hard it is to scrub a pan when food sticks to it? So no matter what, glass, plastic, whatever I'm cooking, I use this pan on here to keep the food from sticking. Now, there's another reason for this. Somebody told me that Pam has less calories than fat. And even though I'm using old-fashioned Louisiana recipes, every little bit helps. So I'm using Pam instead
Does
of.
that mean we can put more sugar in here for you not using butter?
If you like, but anyway, every little bit helps and sort of keeps those extra, 1 or 2 of those, maybe a 0.2 pound off. It helps when you're, watching that calendar. All right, so we're gonna put this in here.
Okay.
Look at this. I have to say, I haven't been in the kitchen with a man for a long time, and you're not making a
You
mess.
didn't tell me this would get racy.
Oh. The point is, you're not making a mess. That's the point. It has nothing to do with racy. Men are messy people.
I'm actually the more organized one. And if you ask Jan, she'll tell you, because we cook a lot and we cook together,
Mhm.
and you dirty it, wash it. And
Oh.
she's like, can I use every knife that's in the kitchen?
Oh.
Can I use every bowl that's in the cupboard?
That's about as racy as gonna get in this kitchen. Kind of cool. All right, so we're gonna put this aside for a few minutes.
Okay.
And you're gonna sit down with your wine. And we're gonna talk turkey.
Right.
All right, the House Ways and Means Committee recently passed the Employer Reporting Improvement Act. And this is a bill that you co-sponsored with Nebraska Republican Adrian Smith. Explain what's in the bill, why this bill is important for Solano, and what happens next. Do you expect an easy time or a difficult process moving forward?
Well, I think the bill, the bill's on the House floor now for a vote. And you're right, we passed it out of the committee. It's a bipartisan bill, and it passed without any opposition. I suspect that it will pass off the floor of the House and will go over to the Senate. I don't know if the bill itself will pass the Senate or it will be included in another piece of legislation. And that's rarely do you pass a bill as a standalone bill in Congress. Usually it gets folded into something else. So it may not have your name or your number on it, but it becomes part of a bigger piece of legislation in the same subject matter area. What this bill does, you remember the important Affordable Care Act,
Yes.
or as the critics say, Obamacare,
Yes.
which led to the healthcare coverage for millions of Americans who didn't have healthcare before. there's certain reporting requirements to ensure that people meet the requirements of the bill that it's administered correctly. And what this bill does, the bill that Adrian and I wrote, is it cleans up that reporting requirement rules and regulations. So it's easier for people to comply with. You can do it electronically instead of creating a bunch of paperwork. There's provision in there that if there's errors, unintentional errors, that they have time to fix those. If there's fraud type errors, then it provides more time to go after the bad actors. So it's a good bill that will make it easier for people to get health care. Make it simpler for those who are giving healthcare to be able to provide the healthcare and make sure that there's no fraud.
Got your work ahead of you.
Yeah, what?
You got your work ahead of you next
Oh,
time.
there's plenty of work to do. There's no question about that.
Right. All right, so now we're gonna make this topping for the
All right.
this is your thing. I'm doing the sandwich. You doing this. All right. All right, so we got flour,
Put it in.
put it in. I should tell you that is 1 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour. I gotta remember that I'm showing some people how to make they pay money to learn how to make this crumble. 1/2 cup of light brown sugar, put it in.
Want to make sure you get all that sugar.
That's right, all that sugar. You got more.
I'm good with that.
Look at that.
Yeah, I'm like your granddaughter.
You are, look at you doing this. I didn't even have to tell you
I
to do
got the
that.
sweet stuff.
Yeah,
I'm sure she can stir well.
we have
I'm with her on the sweet stuff.
a 1/2 cup of granulated sugar. Oh, and let me melt the butter while you're
Okay.
doing it. And then we have a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. This hope it doesn't take all day.
How often do you do these Zooms?
Well, we started this to raise money during COVID. And we try to do them at least once, maybe twice a year. Because there are lots of members who still aren't comfortable being out, coming out, but it's really nice to have people here.
Yeah.
Finally, we're a bunch of people who love hanging out with each other. Like minds, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Now, what you're gonna do with this butter, stir that in there until it starts to crumble up a little bit. I have this whisk. It might work a little better.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think you should do another one of these and have me cook the whole meal. What do you think?
Okay,
Think anybody would pay for that?
well. See me, yeah.
You can be in the arm candy.
Yeah, somebody will pay you. If you tell them that we're gonna make sure that we don't get any Republicans in office, I'm sure they'll pay.
You know, I have a diploma from the Culinary Institute of America. Did you know?
I didn't know that, I didn't read that. That's because you're making that up.
No. Really not. You see that spoon for a minute?
I'm gonna look that up.
It's framed and hanging in my kitchen.
All right, so
And thank you for not asking if it's honorary.
No, because I have to see it for myself.
It's honorary, but I had to cook at the Culinary Institute. And that's what I got for doing it.
Okay. That's what you got for doing that. Okay,
So you think we can make some money on this for the Solano Democrats?
I mean, if you do it right, you can make money off of anything. I mean, just look at the money that Trump is making.
Who?
We don't want to go there, do we? Okay. You can make money if you're telling the truth and you can make money.
I think we should do it. I think we should do a dinner.
Okay.
Second one.
We can do a second dinner in your kitchen and I can get to really bring my little, I write mystery novels, you know that, right?
Yeah.
So I can bring my glasses to make sure that Award you're talking about is authentic.
It's the real deal. Mary Jane seen it, you can ask her. Sure.
No, Mary Jane is gonna say what you tell her to say.
It's true.
It's true.
I
Okay.
made wild mushroom risotto.
Ooh,
Really, really good.
that
They
sounds
said-
really good.
They said, you know, we're gonna recognize you for that.
All right. That's for you.
They like it, they'll pay.
Yeah, he's really doing a good job with this. I mean, he has a real live crumble right here that's going on here. Looks really good. All right, so we're gonna sprinkle that on here now.
Okay,
That butter is gonna melt in that. Those peaches are gonna come through there. We had more crumble than we had peaches.
it'll cook down.
Mhm.
You don't want to spare the spoon on this.
No, we,
On the
sugar, we don't wanna waste the sugar.
You don't waste the sugar or the butter.
Not all that sweetness. Very good. There we go. Perfect. So we got an oven thing going on here. Then we're gonna talk about Genentech. All right, Genentech.
Genentech.
Genentech,
Okay.
thank you, is leaving Vacaville and State Farm is halting offering fire insurance in California. How do you plan to advocate on Solano's behalf in Washington to provide fire insurance in an increasing fire-prone environment? How can you support keeping biotechnology growing in this area?
Well, I don't think it'll be a heavy lift on the biotech part. Because Vacaville and Solano County are fast becoming a real biotech hub in the area. There's a lot of interest for people to come. There's some good educational programs focused on this. And both myself and Congressman John Garamendi have been able to get transportation dollars that will be used to make it, to kind of tie it all together and deal with that. The Vacaville has a very aggressive business outreach program going on, and they constantly have people who are interested in coming to the area. The Genentech move is more about how they manufactured at that particular plant. So I think you're going to find people who are interested in buying that building, and we'll see continued biotech industry, healthy industry. On the insurance thing, it is difficult. It's difficult everywhere. And it's not just one of the companies, it's a number of the companies. And they've picked out areas that they believe are going to be difficult in fire-prone areas, and they've made business decisions to reduce, or in some instances, just really stop the sale of insurance. I've seen it where they've come in long-standing customers, where they come in and they've required that the property owner do things that are pretty extensive in order to be able to continue to write the policy. Insurance is historically a state issue, so there's not a lot that the federal government does in that regard. And when the federal government has stepped into that space, it's kind of had mixed reviews. And probably flood insurance is the best example of that. I'm ready to help any way we can, and if there's a room for the federal government to do something, and if we can do a kind of last opportunity insurance, that may be one possibility.
Yeah, I was thinking about ways and means on that committee. It might be something that can be done to make sure the states are doing what they're supposed to do in that regard. Thank you very much for that response. Now, have your wine, because we're about to talk about guns.
All right.
All right. You stated that, yeah, salute. You stated that you are a gun owner who believes in law-abiding individual rights to own a firearm. But as chairman of the Gun Violence Prevention Committee that hosted a gun violence task force forum on June 7th to give voice to victims of gun violence. And also given the increase in children's deaths by gun and the impact of stand your ground laws in marginalized communities. How do you reconcile that position to your commitment to fight for gun regulation?
Well, it's pretty easy. You're right. I'm a gun owner. I believe in the Second Amendment. And I'm a responsible gun owner. And I believe that along with that right comes certain responsibilities. And I'm with the overwhelming majority of Americans who understand that there are some people who are a danger to themselves or to others who shouldn't get anywhere near a gun. And that's what needs to be done. For instance, I have legislation that has passed twice in the House that would expand background checks for anybody that buys a gun. Any place,
That's HRA.
anyone, HRA,
Okay.
and they would be required to pass that background check. And you said it, you said children are increasingly numbers. The fact of the matter is, the number one cause of death for children and teenagers today is gun violence.
Yes.
30 people every day are killed by someone using a gun. And if you add accidents and suicides, it's up over 100 people a day. And it costs the taxpayers in the United States over $600 billion a year on gun violence stuff. Communities are nervous, they're unsafe. Kids are nervous in school.
Yes.
They're afraid there's going to be a shooting. Schools are giving they practice what happens if there's a shooting in the school. And it's scaring the heck out of kids. And when scared kids don't learn well. So this is a big problem. Now, I'm heartened that Fox News did a poll last week, and 87% of the respondents said that there should be a background check for every firearm. They also said 61% of the people in that Fox News poll said that they should ban assault weapons and all semi-automatic weapons. And then everything in between, red flag laws, safe storage, real high numbers of support.
Then what do you think about Governor Newsom's proposal to to adding the 28th Amendment to the Constitution? Because what does he say? Raise the federal minimum age to buy a firearm from 18 to 21. Mandate universal background checks. Mandate that. Institute a reasonable waiting period for all gun purchases. And the biggie is to ban civilians from purchasing assault weapons. I mean, given the situation that you just laid out there in front of us, what about the 28th Amendment that addresses that?
I think it's a very interesting concept. The reality is, it's a really tough hurdle to do that. But interestingly, and I've been doing gun violence prevention work for a long time, and a lot of my critics will always say, if it's so important, change the Constitution. Well, the governor of California is proposing to do just that. So there needs to be some changes in the law. And I don't know that we can wait long enough for a constitutional convention to get there. There's a lot of things that we can do immediately. And it's interesting, I just told you the most recent poll numbers. The fact of the matter is, gun violence prevention is not a partisan issue any place in the United States of America except in the halls of Congress. And all you have to do is look at what the Republicans who are now in charge of the House passed last week. They passed a bill, and it sounds very simple and not a big deal. They passed a bill that would make it legal to have what they call a arm brace for pistols. And they say, well, people who have disabilities, it makes it easier for them to shoot the pistol. Make no mistake about it. What an arm brace is for a pistol is you're putting basically a rifle stock on a pistol, and you can put them on these short barrel pistol assault weapons, and you have a more accurate and more dangerous killing machine. And it's just crazy what they think gun legislation should be. The other bill they passed a couple of years ago when they were in charge before was a bill that they called the Hearing Protection Act. it legalized silencers. You could buy silencers over the counter. They are so far off the mark in regard to what we need and what the people of the United States of America want. It's real clear what we need to be doing.
I know, so when they're on the floor speaking these falsehoods or whatever you want to call it, how do Democrats counter that? Do you come up and say exactly what it is?
Well,
And because
talked about-
we're hearing what you're saying right now, but I'm just wondering how many people out there in voting land understand that perspective? And how often do you get a chance, and how do you say that loud and clear so that I think people need to hear that other side just as loud as they hear what we know more about the protecting the efficiency of a handicapped person than we know about what you just said.
And it's bunk, that it's not about handicapped people.
Well,
This
yeah.
is just, it's crazy. But you're right, and I do a lot. I've been to just about every state in the country doing town hall meetings on gun violence prevention. I'm constantly doing events. I did one yesterday in the Napa County part of our district. We did a bicycle ride, Rock the Ride for gun violence prevention. 500 people showed up to do a 25-mile bike ride or a 5-mile walk in order to raise awareness about gun violence and to raise money for these outside groups like Moms Demand Action, Giffords, Newtown. We raise money for them to help them get the word out. So we get the word out a lot.
Okay. I just wish we got it out a little bit more. Every time I hear about a kid dying from a gun.
We're doing it. We're cooking.
We're cooking.
We're in a crumble talking about gun violence.
There we go. And I thank you very much for that response. And I think it's now time for us to recognize a few sponsors. Marge Kelly, Dwayne Croman and Marilyn Farley, Jeanette Wiley, Marilyn Singer, and Wanda Williams.
Good.
We should also do a door prize. Why don't you pick us a name here?
I'm
Now,
gonna pick this.
you're gonna pick that. And
So I'm gonna make one person happy. and
You're gonna
everybody
make-
else
it's
unhappy?
one person or two persons. You're gonna make one person happy tonight, right now. And Dorothy Hawks. And just a little note of information for anybody who wins the door prize tonight. That our fearless leader, Jeannie White, will deliver these prizes to you. Just make sure you don't move to Alameda.
Do they have to be home to win?
No,
Okay.
you don't have to be home. All right, so it's noted on your website that you are a Blue Dog Democrat. Can you explain to us what is a Blue Dog Democrat? And how does that position affect your positions on healthcare, on energy, on environmental policy solutions, and how does it affect the impact of the war is having on our national security?
Well, I think the common thread amongst Blue Dog Democrats is that we believe it's important to be fiscally responsible. I personally believe that if we pass a bill, we should pay for that bill. Because the fact of the matter is, the national debt is an issue that we should be mindful of, and we should care about the financial condition of our country. Now, on the environment and on energy, you know where I am on that. I wrote the law that was put into the Inflation Reduction Act to move us the most comprehensive climate change legislation in the history of our country, to move us quicker towards renewable energy. And as far as the environment, I've got a long standing record. Interesting thing, I was at a League of Conservation Voters dinner the other night, and we were talking about saving the country, protecting public land. And I hadn't thought about it in years, but I told the head of that group, I said, I have two bills that I passed and signed into law since being in Congress. One protected, the North Coast Wilderness Act protected 375,000 acres of property on the north coast of California. The other one, Berryessa Snow Mountain, that's in Lake County and Colusa County and are pretty close to our immediate area. 362,000 acres. So I've got pretty good chops when it comes to renewable energy, conservation, and we can do it and still be mindful of the fiscal impact of that.
Do you drive an electric car?
I do not, but I can tell you this, the car I drive is not ready to be replaced, but when it does, it'll be an electric car.
Okay,
Do you?
a hybrid. And the only reason I don't do an electric completely is because it's a complete computer. I'm not good on
They're pretty
computers.
easy.
Mm,
They
it-
make them pretty easy.
I can see myself on the highway pressing the wrong button. So I do a hybrid, that's the way, and plus I don't drive that much. So I don't get a whole lot of gas. Jeannie drives me around.
My wife and I are doing the electric car discussion right now.
Very
To
good.
the point when we're driving someplace, we notice the electric cars that are on the road around us.
Yeah, they're
There's-
quite plentiful.
Yeah, a lot.
My whole family has gone that way. All right, so let's get to comprehensive immigration. The comprehensive immigration policy poses inhumane treatment of immigrants who are being flown here from California, from Florida, thanks to Ron DeSantis. And according to your website, you believe Congress must act to end our unprecedented assault against immigrants. Can you shed some light on the immigrant reform bill you co-authored and other bills, if there are any, that you will support? And what are you doing right now? What are you actually doing in the moment to sort of help immigration reform? I mean, it's an issue.
I don't think we should pull any punches when we talk about either the governor of Florida or the governor of Texas shipping human beings from their state to somebody else's state, dropping them off on somebody's doorstep. That is cruel, it's inhumane, it's immoral, and it's a sophomoric political trick. The fact of the matter is, we need to change our immigration laws, there's no question about that, but they're not participating in that. They're looking for social media hits or a story on the evening news so they can go out to one particular faction of their constituency and beat their chests and show how tough they are. We need comprehensive immigration reform. We haven't reformed the system in decades, and it needs to be at every level. It needs to be at visas for folks who are coming in to work here. We've got the issue of dreamers. Those are people who live in the United States. They were brought here by a parent at a very young age. They grew up here. They're as American as any of us. They went to school with our kids, went to church with our kids, played Little League with our kids, but they were brought here around the system. And we need to fix that. You know, I think dreamers should be made citizens and be made citizens today. And for those of us in California, it's pretty interesting. If you look at one area in particular, and that's education. You know, we have a teacher shortage in California right now of 6,000 teachers. We also have a classified employees. That's the school lunch chef, the cook in the cafeteria, it's the janitor, it's the maintenance person. We have about a 6,000 shortage there also. And at the same time, we have about the same number of dreamers working in those two fields. So if we were to deport all dreamers, our schools in California would suffer. Instead of having 6,000 teacher shortage, there'd be a 12,000 teacher shortage. So that's something I think is a no-brainer, should be done right away. And there's a number of them. I've got legislation that would expedite the citizenship process for someone who has served in the United States military. And that shouldn't even be questioned. Somebody puts on a uniform and puts their life on the line for our country. They should not be looked at as a second-class citizen.
Well, as you know, most things people don't understand about some of these laws is how it actually impacts them personally.
Absolutely.
If people understood that instead of a 6,000 teacher shortage, we'd have a 12,000 teacher shortage if we don't do something about immigration. You might get more people interested in immigration.
Look at how much, you couldn't afford lettuce if there wasn't somebody here to pick it. You couldn't afford strawberries if there weren't somebody here.
I
to
think that
pick
should
it.
be a part of the message that we're putting out there to make sure people understand what's actually.
It's about human beings, but it's also about food safety and security. It's about business in this country, people who clean motel rooms, people who work in factories, people who work in the downtown corner store. We need to fix the immigration system.
We need
It
to
should
fix
not
it.
be a political.
And it should definitely be something that we are teaching people actually how it affects us as opposed to is that the other. And that's something we need to, Democrats need to make sure that that message is getting out there loud and clear. So we have another name.
All right. Here it is.
This is my partner in crime.
Uh-oh. Is there a conflict here?
We work together we live in this district together and we're trying to get certain things. We're trying to make sure that our community is more community friendly, it's retail and mental health respite, in our area. Joan Marquand was.
Congratulations. What are they winning?
Oh, we didn't even tell you what you're winning. We can't tell you. We'll tell you.
Okay.
We'll tell you later, Jeannie. I need to make sure that I get the pie out of the oven before.
Where are the mittens? There you go.
Here's your crumble. That's what you're gonna eat in the while. And you know it's ready because you have a nice brown crust and the peaches are bubbling.
Look at that.
That's how you know it's ready to go. All right, so we got that out of the oven and we, you need more wine?
No, I'm fine.
Okay,
Thank you.
and then we have to, and Julia? What does Julia have to tell them? Who will be sharing the names and pictures of the patrons for this event?
I will do it. Okay. There you go.
You showing it to them?
I am.
We can't see that.
Oh,
Okay, now have a seat, and I'm gonna give you guys a little history on the New Orleans muffaletta sandwich that we muffaletta. I have a list, so sometimes I get a little bit.
what does that mean? What does muffaletta mean? You're gonna tell us.
I'm gonna tell you, just be patient, just come in. All right, now, first of all, we didn't eat out much when I was growing up in New Orleans. And we certainly didn't go out to buy a sandwich. And we certainly didn't go to the French Quarter to buy a sandwich. And that was because Black people weren't allowed in the French Quarter until 1964. If you didn't work in the French Quarter, you shouldn't be in the French Quarter. But that's where this sandwich was originated in 1906. And it was created at a place called Central Grocery, a deli in New Orleans on Decatur Street. And the Italian immigrants, and New Orleans is a city of immigrants, if you're talking about immigrants again. Very enterprising man, he suggested that the customers place their typical lunch cured meats, because see, this is all what you have, these Italian sausages, all of this is a part of the muffaletta sandwich. That you put all of that inside the bread instead of on the side of the plate. And that's how that sandwich was born. And it's now all over the city in various forms of deliciousness, including here in this kitchen.
You know, I'm half Italian, so I'm liking this.
Why can't
I like this idea that the Italians are taking care of our food needs.
Yeah, so, and it's usually on a nice brown piece of bread. Now they make a bread special for this in New Orleans. Now I had my nephew all over Berkeley looking for a bread that could handle this. And to get, first of all, the meats, it was like going to a culinary art school here to learn the different various of kinds of salami. When I was coming up, it was pepper sausage. And it was a big round piece of meat like a bologna. It wasn't until I tried my first muffaletta that I realized that pepper sausage was salami. And it's just a little round circle thing there, but I couldn't go to the French Quarter to figure that out. So anyway, the muffaletta, it combines a homemade olive salad with layers of thinly sliced meats, just right here. And we're gonna make that, yeah, and the cheese probably on, yeah. But the most important thing is the bread. And like I said, in New Orleans, they have a special bread that they made for it. And it has sesame seeds on it, and it has a soft crust and that kind of thing. So any kind of roll, as long as the key to the bread is to make sure a couple of things. You don't want it to be too hard, because when you bite down on it, everything in the sandwich is gonna just drip down your clothes. And you don't want it to be soft, because everything inside of it is gonna be so soggy, it's not gonna taste good. Okay, so that's the whole thing about the bread. So good Italian bread works just fine. And that's what you guys get, because I didn't have time to get bread from New Orleans for this. I would have done it, but when I realized that they didn't have the right bread here, I didn't have the time. So
Listen, the Italians are here to help, don't worry.
there we go. Okay, but I tried all the breads and I figured out that this Italian bread is really, really the best part. But I found a round bread that we're gonna use to make our muffaletta sandwich, because that way you can get to see what it looks like when it's actually done. And what I didn't do was sort of, yeah, would you please, while I move this here. Bread part.
Just cut it in half.
Cut it, just, that's right,
Not that thick.
that's big, that's good. Look at that. Now, for everybody who's interested, please know that we washed our hands before we started this. And I'm gonna, while you're doing that, I'm gonna get all of the ingredients for the sandwich here. When you taste this, it's really, really very good. Somebody one of our winners said that she'd been to New Orleans and she had this before. I tested it out on my neighbor, and she came back to see if I had any more. So she called me on the phone this morning and she says, if you have any leftovers, let me know. So it turned out pretty good. All right, so first we're gonna make the muffaletta sauce. So I just wanted, that was the first ingredient. So ingredient number 2 is the olive salad, and that's what we're gonna make right now. All right, let me get I need to rinse the bowl out. I don't wanna go in my cabinet and get another bowl here.
That's why I always wash.
See? And I thought I was being perfect here. Bowls, I had all of the bowls right. You see, the best laid plans always never work out so well. I don't know if Julia Child ever had to do this, but she had to do this. She had to wash her bowl plate out so she can finish her recipe. I'm in good company. Because the conference says that Julia Child is cooking pie. All right. So this is what you're gonna do here. And I'm gonna do this. Just dump everything in. Right? You have the crushed pimento stuffed olives and the crushed calamansi olives and drained pepperoncini. I put it all in here, crushed it all up, and there we go. Once again, I kind of mix things up so we wouldn't have to use so many of those. Now the cauliflower, the recipe calls for some special kind of cauliflower that's been processed or whatever. I went to the store and found some little cauliflower rice florets, work just perfectly, already chopped up. And it's nice and fresh and it works just good. And the carrots, the city girl, the New Orleans city girl, I have a little garden outside and I have carrots. So I use my carrots, put them in here. All right. And then you have cocktail onions and capers. All right, mix all that together. Okay. And you have minced garlic and celery. So one tablespoon of chopped celery, and this is about 2 cloves of garlic. Chop that up. Got that point on. Put that in there. And oregano, I put all of these things together. 1 teaspoon of dried oregano, 1 teaspoon of dried basil, and 3/4 teaspoon of black pepper. Now, I like a little spicy, so I add a really whole teaspoons black pepper. But if you don't want it to burn your mouth like I do, then use a little less. All right. And then the oil. Can't use Pam on this. 1/4 cup of canola oil, 1/2 cup of olive oil, and 1/4 cup of red wine vinegar. Whew, there we go. You mix all of that together. That,
I think it's working.
it's working.
I gotta say, I've never cooked with only 2 cloves of garlic. So Italian.
Yeah, I use a whole lot of garlic, I really do. And I have another tip for you on that one. Costco has a bottle of minced garlic, a whole bottle, of garlic minced. Great, great stuff.
It's good and keeps the vampires away.
Exactly. Look at that. That's the sauce spirit. That's gonna go in that sandwich in a minute. All right. Now, the best thing about this is the muffaletta is one of those things that you let it sit and it tastes better. And if you make this and let it sit overnight, it's really good. And it also lasts a while. So you can make enough to last you a few days. This is one of those things. And the third ingredient that's really, really good, I'm gonna put this to the side, I'm letting it sit a while. This is the sausages here. Now, the Italian cold cuts. And you can experiment, you don't necessarily have to use it, but I'm using these because these are authentically what they use in the thing. But feel free to experiment with anything you want to do. So you have salami, pepperoni, ham, and what do they call this? I have it on there because my tongue ties this here.
Bologna,
Huh?
bologna.
No, that's what I would call it.
Oh,
Pepper sausage or lunch meat, there, ham, and in my neck of the woods, it's called bologna. And then you have chicken breast, you can use that if you want to. And I think they moved the Italian cuts off of there. This is
Mortadella.
mortadella, that's what it is. I'm telling you, I picked the right person. That is the Italian guy. That is exactly what it is. So these are the sausages that we're gonna put on this sandwich. And there it is. I know I had it on there somewhere. All of the things I have right there. 8 ounces of thinly sliced Genoa salami or pepperoni, or you can use both of them. Thinly sliced cooked ham and the mortadella. And you can use mozzarella or the provolone. I have both, or you can use all 3 of them. It depends on what you want. You can make that sandwich so thick with stuff inside of it. It's unbelievable.
There's a lesson here,
What's that?
because they say in life, if you have a choice between 2 good things, take them both. I think it's the same thing here.
Same thing. Take it
2
all.
cheeses, 2 meats.
2 cheeses, 2 meats, take it all. I didn't go that far today, but you are perfectly welcome to do that. Put all of it on there. And it's recommended that you use thinly sliced meats. But say you just want ham on your sandwich, or you just want turkey, or you just want mortadella. You can do it as thick or as thin as you want to, if you want the sandwich like that. Okay. All right, now make the sandwich. And we get nice tray here for us to do that on. Didn't think about this part. Push that back that way. The bread comes up here this way. All right, here we go. Got all this good yummy stuff right here. Now, I know from personal experience that if you let this stuff sit for a while, it's gonna taste good, but doesn't mean you can't eat it as soon as you cook it. All right, just keep that in mind.
Put this on the
We're
bread.
putting this on the bread. And I can do this while you drink your wine. Okay, this is good. I don't drink wine, so that's why I was giving you an opportunity to do that. See how you're spreading it all over, and make sure that all of your bread gets full. You don't want to see bread. You just wanna see that olive salad. Okay, gotta do this. Both sides, yeah.
It's be good just to eat this.
Oh, yeah, the olive salad is really good. You can't just eat that. That's the way I eat it. I don't necessarily do too much bread, but I do like the olive salad. All right, so now we can put our meats on here.
Oh, I dropped one.
All right, how many you will on? Put two of each.
I guess. What should we?
We just put it on one side, because you gotta put that, this is good, because it'll hold it together. See, you really are smart in the kitchen. I have to give it to you. I really do have to give that to you. Now, we could do this on the Congress Hall floors. If you could do this if you could be as good on Congress as you do it in this kitchen, we got the right congressman. You're doing pretty good.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Another one?
We got 4. That's good.
Yeah, I think I dropped this.
You dropped the piece?
Yeah.
Okay, you can pick that up. Now, this is the muffle letter right here. Wait till you cut it. She wants to see it when it's cut. Somebody wants to see when it's cut. So you gotta wait till you. Inside of this bad boy.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that. Yeah. It's not good unless it's true down the cheese. But make sure that happens.
Do you put this in the oven or you eat it just like this?
Yeah. You put it in the refrigerator, you let those just, what you're gonna do with that is sort of let that
The liquid soaks in.
soak in, get all good and juicy, then it's really, really, really good. Right, so, and I know that
What should we do with this?
you can nibble on it.
Okay.
You can nibble on it. Now, what I like about this recipe and what we've been doing in here today is that we've taken this Italian recipe to share with everybody. And that kind of reminds me of what we do in the Democratic Club. And what we try to do it's a different combination of all people coming together for a good sound. Huh? That's what we do. That's what we gotta do. All right. So now let's pick another door prize and we're gonna go to that last question.
Oh, did you save the best for last?
I did. Now this. Oh, she's here. Bernille. Now the door prize that you're winning is donated by Tanya. Tanya also, who's also here. And you will receive a hardcover copy of the 1619 project. Oh, isn't it nice? Okay. And now pick another name, Congressman. So Jeannie, you don't have to deliver that one. All right. Cassandra James. Okay. All right, so we've already done our sandwich. And we cut the serving to show everybody. And we're gonna share the rest of the salad with everybody else out there. All right. So here we go. Given that there are 3 levels of government, federal, state, and local, the saying that all politics is local signifies the power of citizen access to elected officials. In a democracy, that's what we're supposed to be in. So how important is citizen input and participation to you and your vision?
I think it's very important. It's the will of the people and it's the compassion and the dedication of the people that I want to hear about. I come home from Washington every weekend and I'm somewhere in our district every weekend. You might find me on a Sunday in Vacaville in somebody's kitchen helping to cook.
What can I say?
And this weekend is probably a real good example. I got home after midnight on Friday. Started out with a gun violence prevention event in Yountville at 8 o'clock Saturday morning. Finished that, drove to Lake County for a Farm Bureau dinner to celebrate their 100 years of the Farm Bureau activity in Lake County. And then today I met with some people over in Napa County. I'm here. Tomorrow I'll be in Sonoma. I'll be in Yolo County. So I'm out. I want to know what people are interested in. I want to know what people are worried about. I want to know how we can work together to make sure that our government is working best for everybody.
All right, those are the words. So how do you plan to do that? How do you plan to get and sustain connectivity? Me, you, and all of these people and all of the Democrats, it's particularly in Solano County because you haven't worked with us before. How do you plan to connect with us and to help sustain that with us? How do you plan to keep us informed about what's going on?
Well, as I say, I come home every weekend. If there's a district work period, I'm more often than not in the district with meeting with people. I have district offices. I have an office in Woodland. I have an office in Santa Rosa, and I have an office in Napa. I have a district staff that's out, and I'm not a stranger to Solano County. I used to represent Vacaville, both in the state Senate and in my first couple terms in Congress. So I know my way around, and I've always represented a part of Solano County, both in the Senate and in Congress. And the district that I represented in the last 10 years included Benicia and Vallejo, both parts of Solano County. So I'll be around a lot. My staff will be around a lot, and we might get to the point where you get tired of seeing me.
Yeah, well, maybe you need to have one of those drive-in movie things so that you can tell us about the issues, how to.
We're doing another one of these cooking classes.
Oh, that's right. Okay, we do. But we gotta make sure that we actually stay in touch. It's important that Democrats actually be in touch with their elected officials, because our messages may be the same in our hearts, but it's not coming the same way we see it out of your mouth. So we have to make sure that you're hearing our words so that you can push it out.
I think that's important.
That's very important. All right. So that's it for that question. And so now we're gonna pick another door prize winner.
Right. Is everybody in this bowl gonna win something?
Now I have to tell you, when I attended one of your events, the Taste of YOLO event, I met Julie Sutton. See that flower arrangement right there?
So beautiful.
That's right. And
Doesn't she do a great job?
she does a beautiful job, and she's an environmentally conscious florist. And she's just getting her business started. And she grows these flowers, and I asked her if she would make a centerpiece for the table for this event, and she donated an arrangement as a door prize here. So when I contacted her, so it's really, really nice. So we got Jeanette Wiley.
And what is she gonna get?
She's gonna get that flower arrangement over there.
Perfect. Can we bring it up here?
Yeah, let's bring up the gifts.
Vanna, bring that up.
Yeah. She actually delivered it this morning, and she was very, very excited because she's just started her business. She does these. She and her daughter do these, but it was the first time she was asked to do a table or an arrangement. So this is her first one, and she was super excited about it. And I just wanted to make sure she gets acknowledgement for that.
She does a beautiful job.
And Tanya donated, she also donated a prize, and Granny is a baker. Best cookies you ever tasted. Yes. So just so you know, if you want a cookie to give to somebody, get in touch with Tanya. All right, so Congressman, I have to thank you. We are so happy that you came over here to visit with us today. We appreciate an opportunity for us to get to know you, but more importantly, you need to get to know us. And so we're really, really happy to have you. So I speak for our president, Jeannie White, our executive board, and all of our members. And when I say that, we're looking forward to developing a working relationship. We want to be a part of what's happening. We want to make sure that you understand what our needs are and and what you can do to help us build and grow our communities on a national level. Because even though local government is, all politics is local, we still need the support of our state and federal government, elected officials to make sure that we get what we need locally to work. So we're looking forward to that and that teamwork there. So do you have anything you'd like to say to us?
Well, thank you very much for including me in this. I had a great time. This was fun. I hope everyone enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed it. And I just want to say, that's an automatic yes. I am going to be here a lot. I expect to hear from you. Bottom line, we're all in this
Yes.
together. And we need to work together to make sure that our federal government, state government, and local governments are working for the needs of the people and moving us forward to ensure that our kids and grandkids have the great opportunities that we had when we were growing up.
This is why I'm on a mission right now, because I have grandchildren who have done everything that they were supposed to do to get ready for a really good future. And between the guns and the book banning and everything else, I'm just concerned about what's going to happen in that future. So
Everybody should be concerned, and everyone should do something about it. So, as our great speaker Nancy Pelosi used to say, you got to make sure that you don't agonize, organize.
So that's what we're doing here. So I want to thank everybody in attendance here in person today. It was really nice to look over and see your faces over there. It's really, really special. I can't tell you.
They were pretty quiet.
They were
didn't laugh at us,
honest.
they didn't boo.
Yep, they didn't, they laughed. This election season is really gearing up to be extremely important. We must not only respond to the culture wars that are attacking us from the opposing party, but we must also communicate that Democrats are connecting to the issues: healthcare, gun violence, voting rights, women's rights, equity and inclusion, education, affordable housing, environmental challenges, inflation, hunger. We must articulate how solutions to these problems are on track to be addressed by Democrats. We cannot afford to waffle on this serious call to action. The Northern Solano Democratic Club knows what we have achieved by what we can achieve by working together. All we have to do is look at our current local elected officials to see the power of our activism. So buckle up, get ready to hold signs, write postcards, knock on doors, write op-eds, and support the efforts of your local Democratic Club to raise money that will help elect more progressive candidates, including our own Blue Dog Democrat, who actually has good policies out there that we want to work for. To make sure that we elect them, we have to keep our Solano County blue. So let's work to elect and support and hold accountable the Democrats who have the courage to legislate and execute laws and public policies that demonstrate that respect for the human dignity of all is the brick and mortar of our democracy. That's what we have to do. It's no small feat, but we have to know who we send in to represent us. And we have to believe in our phones that they believe that too. So I have to acknowledge everybody that's working behind the scenes: Jeannie, our Vice President, Julia, Secretary Nancy and Steve Federally, Treasurer Don Lowy, our Outreach Chair Jake Francisco, audio visual support by Becky and Anthony Cecina, and generous donations from Tanya Alston and Julia Sutton, the two people who gave us these lovely handmade, homemade floor arrangement and door prizes for everybody. Wholehearted Blooms is where Julie is in West Sacramento. And I have to say again, thank you for supporting the 6th Cooking with Alice production. We deeply appreciate it. We thank you so much. And please help us reach out to every Democrat in Northern Solano County. That's what this is all about. We want to send a postcard to everybody that's registered Democrat in this county. You can be part of this effort by supporting your local club, by paying your dues, sign up for recurring monthly donations, and help us continue to expand our membership. Follow us on Facebook. But most importantly, join us in this fight for a democracy that works for all of us. For all of us, we have to make sure that happens. I want my grandchildren to recognize that we didn't let our democracy go underwater. That we did something to make sure that they have something to fight for in the future. That they have clean air to breathe and decent food to eat and good water to drink. It's all going to a handbasket if we don't make sure we keep democracy going, and that means we have to elect Democrats. So thanks again, everybody, for showing up. Now I want you to enjoy your sandwich and your peach crumble. Take pictures of your dishes if you made them at home and share them on Facebook. Bye.
Good job.